Grace and peace, everybody, and welcome to Sabbath School Study Group for part number 3 of this 5-part series looking at leaders in Israel. Today, we want to talk about purpose and passion. But before we do that, Father, in the name of Jesus, we want to pray that you please would speak to our hearts. Amen. Purpose and passion. Passion is a natural reality. When we have that thrill or that desire for whatever that thing is, it can be almost like a wild horse. Untamed, it can do a lot of damage. But when it's harnessed, when it's bridled, it can do a lot of good. And that's what purpose does. Purpose is what bridles our passion to then guide it in a direction that's productive, that's fruitful, and that helps more than it hurts. So one of the beautiful things when you go to the book of Nehemiah and you see in this leadership is that leaders know why they lead. And it's that purpose that guides that passion that allows all of that effort and all of that energy to go into that purpose. See, in Nehemiah chapter 2, verse 4, we find Nehemiah down. He's depressed because he's found out what's going on back in his homeland. And with this on his mind and with this prayer in his heart, the Lord's working. And the king now says to Nehemiah, "For what dost thou make request?" So I prayed to the God of heaven. Here, Nehemiah was given a blank check. And before he signed it, before he memoed where it went, he shot a prayer up to the Lord and said, "Lord, what do you want?" He cried out and said, "God, what do you want?" And the Lord revealed it to him by verse 5, where Nehemiah says to the king, "In that instant, if it please the king, and if thy servant have found favor in thy sight, that thou wouldest send me unto Judah, unto the city of my father's sepulchres, that I may build it." That last phrase, that I may build it. This is his purpose. His purpose had been given to him, gifted to him by the Father. He revealed to him, "This is what I want you to do." And so Nehemiah echoes the will of the Lord. And in that echo, that it's like an earthquake that rippled, that tremor of God's will ripped the atmosphere, ripped the foundation, where the king says, "I'm going to give you everything that you want to now go forward and do what God has called you to do." So it's not just his passion, but it's a passion that's bridled with purpose. And the purpose is what God wanted for his life. So now when you read on all the way, even in Ezra chapter 7, for example, in verse 9, when it speaks of Ezra, "For upon the first day of the first month began Ezra to go up from Babylon, In Ezra chapter 7, verse 9, it says, "For upon the first day of the first month began Ezra to go up from Babylon. And on the first day of the 5th month came he to Jerusalem, according to the good hand of his God upon him." Ezra has the same power. He has this passion, but it's bridled by the purpose that God has given him to do what the Lord had asked and called him to do. So you see Ezra and Nehemiah, they know why they're doing what they're doing. They're not just working with some abstract vision, and they're not just trying to do something for themselves. They have a commission, and we're going to talk about that later on, but they know why they're doing what they're doing. So that's what allowed them, when they go up against these folks who were trying to stop them, like Sanballat and these other guys and these other forces that were trying to attack them, they could overcome them not by force of will, not because they were so smart, because there's always an enemy smarter than us. There's always an enemy with more money than us. And there's always an enemy with more enemy in him than there is good in us. So with that in mind, you see them succeeding, driven by what God had said. So they're standing on his word, no less than Peter was standing on the Lord's word when he called them out of that boat to go walk to him. They're walking on the word. And so we, in our lives, can be doing something that we're doing it because this is what the Lord has shown me to do. That's why this study is taking place. That's why you see and hear me now. By the grace of God and by the revelation of his will, this is what he's asked us to do. And that's why it's blessing you. It's no good in us. It's definitely nothing in me. And so when you understand that you can do this in your circle and where you are, that's when we'll find ourselves not just knowing why we lead, not just having this random human passion, but it'll be a sacred passion, a sacred power that is guided and bridled by the purpose revealed to us from heaven itself.